This portion of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited, fueling growth for people.
Welcome back. Increasing the country's agricultural output is at the forefront of the Bahamas Agricultural and Industrial Corporation's mandate. BAIC Chairman Arnold Forbes says most countries judge their agricultural output by the number of greenhouses. He says the focus now is to generate a greater interest in farming with a new greenhouse, hydroponics, and mariculture farming project.
It will increase our agricultural output. It will give our young people a chance to get into farming in a meaningful way, because you can put a greenhouse, let's say a 100 by 50 greenhouse. You can set it up. You can grow as much product in that 100 plus by whatever greenhouse that you can probably grow on 2 or 3 acres of land, because that greenhouse produces year round. When you go out there and you farm in the in the ground, in the open, your growing seasons are controlled by the weather. So the more greenhouses we have in the Bahamas, the more agricultural output we will have.
The BAIC chairman says more interest in farming could also impact the country's food import bill that stands at $500 million. And according to Forbes, the focus is to change the mindset of young people by showing them how greenhouses operate.
You can have, once they know the process, you can have a 12, 13-year-old growing fruit or veg in a greenhouse if we teach them the process. But we need to introduce our children to farming at an early age. We need to tell our children that farming is good. It is good to farm. It is good to grow your own food. Because the food that we import in this country, trust me, it is not first-class food. If you grow your own food, you eat better than if you import food. I'm sure of that. There's no two ways about that.
A large turnout today as officials zeroed in on a growing health concern in the country. More than 600 women and men came together to support the Sister Sister Breast Cancer Group, which is preparing to observe its 10th anniversary. Our Cyan Thompson spoke to survivors and those living with breast cancer.
More than 200 breast cancer survivors participated in the prayer breakfast. Sister Sister Breast Cancer Group President Andra Sweeting revealed that while more Bahamian women are being diagnosed with breast cancer, men are also showing up with similar diagnosis. This is causing the organization to adjust and open up to men.
We are also delighted that we have in our midst this morning the young man who is so willing to share his story. He is a breast cancer survivor who was had bilateral mastectomy. We have actually decided to put some blue in our pink, and this morning says a whole lot, so we are truly grateful.
About 3 years ago, Valentino Hart, 39, got the shock of his life but was determined to be a voice for men with his experience.
Actually, at the time, I felt the lump. I was visiting my aunt down in the Fort Lauderdale area, who had just recently had her breast removed from breast cancer. So I thought it was a little unusual, and I wanted to get it checked out. They did a biopsy, and the doctor says to me, Valentino, you have breast cancer. I was hurting on the inside. I was really hurting on the inside. And I recall just going back into my car and just crying and just weeping. But in crying, I was just praising God, because I knew that God had a plan in my life.
It was just July when 49-year-old Abigail Ingram was diagnosed with cancer in her left breast and opted to have a double mastectomy. Today, she is waiting to begin her first round of treatment.
It was like a tornado, this just hit me. And I didn't really know how to respond. After I leave the hospital that day being diagnosed with breast cancer, I just sat in my car and break down crying, because it was really an emotional time for me, trying to figure out what do I do with the help of my family, friends, my doctor and his team as well. Sister, they're my support.
45-year-old Shireen Simonette's journey with breast cancer began 2 years ago. She decided that she had much to live for and was resolute in getting treatment.
I was just lying down in the bed one night and decided to give myself a self-breast exam. I felt a small lump, and I actually thought nothing of it. It was not bothering me. It was painless. I thought about cancer, and then I just took it out of my mind, because I told myself it couldn't be, as I have no family history. And then the time came I went in for my results, and there he told me it was cancerous. I decided that I shall live and I will not die, and I will fight this disease.
Now, if you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, here's some advice.
There's life. We just have to have the faith in God, to trust Him, to know that whatever He brings us to, He can bring us through it.
For the ZNS Network News, I'm Cyan Thompson.
And finally in news this evening, family, friends, and a cross-section of the Chippingham community paused yesterday to recognize one of its members who turned 100 years old. Miss Bernice Ineas touched many lives through her charitable work in her church and her extended reach into the wider community. The mother of 3, 19 grands, 31 great-grands, and 2 great-grandchildren was surrounded with love on her 100th birthday. The centenarian reflected on her birth and special moments with her grandson Clinton Barabbas Woodside and others attending the special birthday party.
Born September the 13th, 1913.
So that should make you this beautiful 100, huh? How old are you? 100? This beautiful 100?
Supposed to be.
That's correct. And who all celebrating with you today?
The friends that you see around me, they're all my friends. Children, grandchildren. Oh, but I don't have no complaint nowhere. As a person, don't complain.
Ms. Ineas is now the oldest member of the Holy Spirit Anglican Church. The rector, former priests, and other community leaders were there to extend their gratitude.
We celebrate with her today, and we give God thanks and praise for sparing her to see 100 years. She's a great lady, full of life, full of joy and happiness, and she always, whenever I get the chance to see her, every 2 weeks or so, she's always thanking God, giving God the glory. And her favorite line is, she got no complaints. And so today we celebrate with her, and we give God the praise and the glory.
But I had a wonderful experience at Church of the Holy Spirit, and Bernice was part of that. She was like a solid rock in that church, oldest member, giving service to God, and we all give praise to God for her 100 years. And today we begin counting over 101, 102, whatever God has for her.
The community-mindedness, the spiritual fervor that she always exhibited was a joy to all that worked with her and around her.
And to top off the 100th birthday celebration, the family of Ms. Ineas will worship with her tomorrow at Holy Spirit Anglican Church. Well, this wraps up this portion of news. Stay with us. Julian Gibson is up next with your weekend sports report.